Well, hello friends, it's Wayne Polson coming to you from SM Heartland and right here at Heartwood. About a year ago, when we first moved into this house, we bought an electric range, this GE gas range that you see behind me here. And at that time, I thought it would be a great opportunity to put together a video on how to convert a natural gas range to liquid propane. So I did 2 videos on that. And those videos got so many views, I thought, okay, maybe people are having some of the similar issues that I'm having. They're buying this product and they want to know how to convert it and they don't want to have to pay somebody to do it, blah, blah, blah. Well, today I want to do a video on a problem that I've been having with my gas range since that time. The problem I'm having right now is I've got a couple of burners that will not ignite. Now, I've already discovered what the problem is. What I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to pretend that we know nothing about this particular range. We're going to start with taking this thing apart from the stovetop, the burning elements, down into to the igniters themselves. And we're going to talk about how to troubleshoot and isolate a burner ignition problem to the source of the problem. So without further ado, let's tear into it, shall we? Okay then, here we go. Alrighty folks, so I want to demonstrate to you exactly what my problem is. If you notice here on the left side of my range, these left side burners ignite properly. The griddle ignites properly. However, the right side does nothing. And notice I did not leave those burners on very long. You shouldn't have to leave those burners on any longer than 5 seconds. If you do, you've got a serious problem. Shut the gas off immediately, because if you do not shut the gas off, if you let that pour into the air, the next spark is going to set it off, and it's going to do something crazy to your hair, and it might even do something crazy to your clothes, and it's going to create a long-lasting memory that you will never ever forget. So there's my warning. Let's move on to the next step. Okay, so the next step, we want to start doing some troubleshooting here. And what I want to start with first is, what are some of the causes for burners not lighting? In this case, since I'm having trouble on my right side, I'm going to take the right grate off. I'm going to pull these flame spreader caps off. I'm going to pull the burner element itself out. What I want to do is I want to look at this thing very carefully. I want to make sure that there's no gunk or buildup of any kind in any of these slots. This is a very clean element, so I can really rule out the fact that the element itself is a problem. If this were to get clogged with grease and other materials, that could create a problem like we're experiencing here. So that's not the case. I'll inspect this back one just to make sure. And it looks very clean. So that is not my problem. Now the next thing I want to look at is the igniters themselves. So here's my front igniter. Now notice I don't have a rear igniter. That's because I've already taken it out. I know that that igniter is defective. As a matter of fact, I have it right here. This is it. And it's defective. As you can see, there is no metal extending past this hole in the top here. That igniter should be extending past the top of this ceramic insulator by about 1/8 of an inch. This one is extending beyond, so there's a possibility that there's something else wrong with that particular igniter. Now, the way this works is this igniter, the metal tip, is in close proximity to this metal piece here. Now this metal piece gets connected to this metal piece, and it creates a ground connection because underneath this stovetop, these metal parts are all tied to an electrical ground. So what will happen is any grounded metal part that's close to that ignition source will create a spark to jump across the gap when those igniters are excited. So we'll demonstrate that a little bit later, but right now let's go on to the next step. So before we go any further, I want to cover 2 other troubleshooting points that you should perform before you start taking the range apart. One would be to make sure that the range is plugged in, that it has electricity, because the igniter module is an electric device. On some of your outdoor grills, those things are battery operated, but it does take electricity to get those to work. In this particular case, this range has a 120 volt ignition module. Okay, and you can tell if the range is plugged in if your clock is illuminated. So without electricity, you would not be seeing the clock. That's one thing you need to check. The second thing, of course, would be to make sure that there's a good gas supply. And if in my case, since several burners are working and a couple are not, that's a good indicator we have a good gas supply. So make sure you check those things before you start taking things apart. Okay, so we're going to dive into this electrical problem right now. And I say electrical problem because the igniters are electrical. We're going to start by taking the range top off. The only tool that you're going to need for this is a Torx bit. And I just happen to have a Torx bit right here on my DeWalt power driver here. And this is a Torx 15. Can you see that? Is that in focus for you folks? It's a T15 Torx bit. All right. So that's what you're going to need to remove the screws that hold the element or the burner frames in place. So take all the grates. And burning elements off. Let's set those aside. Don't forget the griddle. And you're left with 15 screws, 3 on each burning element frame here, or burner element holder. So you start removing those. Okay, with the burner screws removed, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to free the front edge of the range top. Now, about 2.5 inches from the side, right about here, there's a little metal retainer. There's one of these on each end. I would advise you to use a napkin to depress that. Push it in, lift up. If you're lucky, both of them will come up, like mine did here. And now this range top is just hinged on the back hinge pins. But you may have to do this on both sides. You should have to do that on both sides. Those are the retainers. That's all there is to it. No tools really required other than that screwdriver to release those retainers. All right, once the front retainers are loose, then you can grab the stovetop about like that at a slight angle and just pull it off of those pins in the back. I'll show this to you here if you notice. Can you see this? Are you able to see this little hook right here? This hook is hooked around the pins in the back. Set this to the side and you're ready to dive in. Okay, so with the stovetop off, first thing I want to show you in here is the ignition control module. That's this little brown package that sits on the back wall here. The 2 wires over here are the power supply for it, and there is a ground connection here, this green wire. And then there are 5 wires coming out of here, each one going to a different igniter. Now, if you notice one is missing back here, that's the one that I have removed right now from this burning element here. Now, what happens is when you turn any one of the burners, the 5 burner controls, to the light position, that supplies voltage to this module, and all 5 igniters start sparking at the same time. But only the one with gas, or only the ones with gas coming to the burners are going to ignite. So if one is sparking, they should all be sparking. If none of them are sparking, there's a good chance that this module is defective, or there's a problem with the power supply wiring going to the module, or something is disconnected somewhere. It could also be a bad switch on the gas supply knob on the front of your range. All right, so now I want to talk to you about the igniter that I removed. As you can see here, this igniter does not protrude from the tip of the ceramic holder. And it was poorly manufactured. This was a manufacturing defect. Had I noticed it earlier on, I could have had it corrected under warranty, I guess. But really, to replace all 5 of these igniter wires only costs about 12 bucks online from GE. So I just ordered a pack of igniter wires. So right here is a 5-pack of wires. This is genuine GE replacement parts. And if you want part number information, I guess I can turn it the right side up for you. That's it there. I'll also put all this information in the description box below. So my point is, though, that you could try to repair these igniters, which I did try to do, and it resulted in pretty much failure. Now, I will say this, that the problem I had with this igniter is that it was not installed all the way into the insulator. And it was because there was a crimp connection on the bottom of this igniter wire that was not inserted in the back end here all the way. And it's held in with a little bit of hot melt glue, believe it or not. So I took a heat gun to it and I was able to move it and pull it out, but I wasn't able to get the crimp right to put it back in, and I ended up breaking the wire off. So that's when I decided, you know what, I'm just going to order new igniters for this. Now, let me show you how you go about taking these igniters out of their holders. Okay, so this is the front right igniter, and actually I had this out before, and I did try doing a repair on it, and in the process I ended up cracking the ceramic, and I just wasn't able to repair this thing. I don't think it's worth the effort to try to repair these, honestly. So let me show you how to get this out. There's a little retainer pin right here, okay? Do you see this? It's like a split retainer. Get a screwdriver down right in there and then pry it out like this. And once you get it out that far, you can either pull it out with your fingers or you can use a pair of pliers, and it just looks like this. This is what it looks like right here. And then you can take this igniter, pull it up, and there's a slot back here where you can pull the wire through to get it out of there. Now you can see here where I used some JB weld to sort of bond this back together, but it's not working. It's actually arcing through the JB weld to this frame, so this is not a good fix. But that's how you remove the igniter. Okay, and for the center griddle igniter, it has a different type of retainer than the other burners do. On this one, what you have to do is get in between the igniter and the frame with a screwdriver and just gently start prying up on that igniter. And then just kind of rotate it back and forth until it comes free. This part right here is the actual retainer for it. It may stay inside that hole. The new igniter comes with the same retainer on it, so I would say just take the whole thing and pitch it. Now, you're not going to be able to get this out of the hole that it's in here without disconnecting it from right over here. Okay, so this goes right on over to here, and I'm going to pull that out like that. And now I can fish this right through there like that. So let me take the new one. This is the new igniter for the center burner. Push the connector through first. And this will go in real easy. And it just snaps into place like that. Then go ahead and stick this end in. There you go. So that one is replaced. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and replace this rear right igniter. And that's got a vacancy already right up in here. I'm just going to go ahead and plug that one in right now. And there's a little slot, as you saw earlier, to put the wire through, and then just drop the insulator part through there and take the retaining clip. It goes underneath and push it all the way back so that it's in like that. All right, next I'll do the front right. The front right in this case is going to be blue. Pull that out. Take the retainer, go right up underneath the aluminum extrusion and around the ceramic, push it in until it snaps. All right, we're going to go ahead and pull this one out. Again, place the screwdriver right there on that edge, and then pull that out, just like that. And the new wires do not come with retainers, so you'll have to make sure you don't lose the retainers that you originally had. All right, we'll plug this in over here. Run this over here like that. Take the retainer, what did I do with it? Right there. And I'm going to run it in just like this until it snaps into place. And there's a right side and a wrong side for this. There's actually a little cutout. So if you look closely, there's a little cutout right here. There's not one on this side. So the retainer goes in from one side only. All right, so now we'll go for the rear on the left. You want to be careful not to lose these because they can slide down beside the oven cavity, and then you have to go fishing them out, so be careful. Okay, I'll plug this one in there, and then this one will go in place. Retainer snaps into place. That is the end of it. All right, and before we buckle this thing back up, I'm going to put this in here so that you can see this burner fixture a little bit. Just go in while you're here, while this is all open, you might as well make sure that everything is tight. This burner element or this burner holder happens to be a little loose. Just take a 16mm socket and tighten that thing back up. But you need to hold this base with one hand while you tighten with the other so that you don't bend the gas supply line. So just do that on all of those burner holders to make sure that everything's tight before you put everything back together again. All right, we're going to start by putting these little hooks, there's one on each side, over the pins that are up inside the frame here. Just like that. Then push the top down until it latches in place. Now you're going to have to get down in here and use your finger to sort of center these up as best you can before you start putting screws in. And start putting your screws back in. Now usually, since you can't really reach some of these that are recessed in here, I'll go ahead and put a screw in the hole, get my driver on it, getting it ready, then I'll pull up on the center of this. And you don't want to torque these down real tight, otherwise you'll strip them out. And if you strip them out, you're going to have a little bit of a headache. But once you get one started, you can just go with all of them on that same burner element or burner holder. Now in this particular case, what I'm doing to keep from over torquing these is I've got a torque control on this driver. I have it set for about 13. That way it'll start to slip once the screw gets tight. Alrighty, and with that done, we can now put these burner elements back in place. Now notice there's a little index here where the igniter goes. Make sure you get that lined up properly. Right there's a cutout, just like that. There's a cutout here. Cutout here. And a cutout here. All right, let's see what happens over here. Rear, haha, looks good. Front, perfect. Let's make sure that this one works. Nice. All right, everything's good. Well, that's the end of this video, folks. I hope I went into enough detail here on this project. If not, please put a question in the comment and I'll answer it as best I can. Hopefully this video is valuable to you and you'll have a little bit more confidence in being able to do it yourself. If you are at all lacking confidence in this, just don't do it. Get a professional to do it, to take care of it for you, because the last thing you want is to get hurt. And the last thing I want is to hear that somebody like you got hurt. So don't do it if you're not confident enough. Folks, be kind in your neighborhood, be kind in your family, spread the kindness through your communities, and I'll see you in another video somewhere down the road. Who knows when, but hopefully soon. See ya. So before I go any further, I did skip a couple of troubleshooting pointers. So before we go, okay, with the element holder, this is the one that I tried to repair the first time, and the way that that way, but I hope this video was valuable to you. Crap. Well, there you go, friends. Shoot. Otherwise, pretty successful, I would say. I hope this video was valuable to you. I hope that it's going to help you shoot that machine.